Hey everyone, hope you're having a good night. I wanted to quickly discuss your environment and, in particular, how you can optimize or make the most out of your current environment, or potentially if that means, changing your environment, what that could look like as well, the pros and the cons behind it, and also, you know, why it's so important to optimize your environment. So let's get into it. Now, what is an environment? Now, it's different to environmentalism or anything to do with sustainability or anything like that. It's simply to do with the things around you, or the places you spend time, or the things that have the biggest influence on your life. So, look, the most simple examples of a physical spot or place in which you'd probably consider an environment would be places like your bedroom, your workplace, and even the city that you live. Um, Now, environment could also stretch to your cultural and social environment, so those around you, the culture that you're currently around, religion, etc. So, environment is really this multifaceted thing, and it can't really be pinned to like one specific thing. It's very broad. Um, Now, I've written here that some people mix and match responsibilities across environments. Now, look, with during 2020ish, 2019, a lot of people did the work from home thing, which meant that they kind of mixed their environments together. So what that meant was you had your personal life and your work life come together, and what that meant was the things that were around your home. So, for example, your family, your bedroom, the food around you, how you felt at home, got mixed together with work. So a lot of people would work out of their bedrooms. You know, they might feel like they're in their bedroom, but they're working, so they're really doing the best work that they can. If they have family and friends around, are they really in that work mindset? Probably not. Now, that's not to say work from home isn't a valid, thing. It definitely is. But there's a different environment for a different purpose. Um, simply put. Now, around the world, most people are given certain environments. They're given certain responsibilities, certain family and friends, certain jobs, opportunities that come up, and for the most part, they take it and they're very happy with that, and they kind of make do. Um, Now, for a lot of people, those options aren't good enough and they kind of make a change where necessary. And it might be something small, like, for example, moving from one workplace to another. It could even be moving from one office of your current job to the next. But for other people, they uproot their entire lives. They essentially, go to a new country, go to a new suburb, change everything, new friends, new habits, new everything. So, whether or not your current environment is supporting what you want, people make changes based on that. So that's what I mean by environment. Now, we've briefly touched on this, why your environment is important, but long story short, it covers pretty much everything in your life. It has an influence on everything in your life. So, for example, opportunities, job opportunities, investment opportunities, opportunities to meet, a partner, opportunities to find people that you gel with really well. Productivity is another really big one. I think me personally, I feel really productive, in a workplace around people who are working alongside me, maybe my peers, maybe my work friends. Um, Well-being as well is a big part of the environment. A lot of people feel very, they might feel tied down at home, or they might feel like they don't fit in at work, and that's going to have a massive impact on their overall well-being, just because these certain environments take up such a significant portion of their lives. So it's important that you get these things right, or at least be willing to change them. You are a product of your environment. You wouldn't be the same person otherwise. Now, if I grabbed you and I put you in a on the other side of the world, we found someone and you became that person for a day, everything will be very different. You'd have access to different opportunities, you'd have access to different resources, people, you might even have to speak a new language. Um, so, your environment really creates you. If you're generally a really happy person, it might be because your environment is also very positive and uplifting, and vice versa. If you're always negative and always sad and there's always problems, maybe look at your environment, maybe look at what's around you, and building that thinking around you. Now, believe it or not, and I mean, a lot of people know this already, but it's a good reminder that people in the Western world actually have a lot that the rest of the world doesn't have. I've said here, for example, clean water, that could extend to internet, adequate housing, decent salaries, able to borrow money for credit. Um, Environments like this are very and they provide people with the basic requirements to actually have a decent life. Now, not everyone has opportunities to that. So that's an extreme example, but just off that, it gives you an idea of how important the environment is. Um, Now, I've given an example here, getting out of bed, as an example for where a toxic or negative environment might be holding you down. If there's family fighting at home, if their work is really toxic and they don't want to go to work, something as simple as getting out of bed in the morning might be really difficult, because they know that environment is just going to bring them down. So why would they? Now, on the other hand, a positive set of environments will create a really high quality life. But as we'll get into, that really just depends on what you consider a high quality life. We're not all the same, so different environments will, be able to cater to different wants and needs. So, like I just mentioned, there is no such thing as a perfect environment. Only those that work for you. And I mean, I have a couple examples here, but really, there is no right or wrong. You might have a best friend that really enjoys one certain thing, and you might not, and vice versa. Like, there is no right answer. And the only way to be able to figure out what works well for you is to kind of understand what you actually want out of life, what your values are, where you feel happy. These are the kind of things that will really kind of determine what positive environment looks like. And like I mentioned, this doesn't have to be a physical location. This can be the people you surround yourself with, the vibes, if you will, of the place, of the area that you're in, the job opportunities, culture, even is speaking English, is that where you want to be around, or do you want to be in Latin America where they're speaking Spanish and it's a little bit more, the culture's a little bit more you know, warm and inviting and exciting. Um, that's for you to decide. But two examples here that resonated with me was, for example, if you're looking to grow wealth, that's a really big priority for you, a really big focus. You could live in America or Australia, and sure, you'll probably do really well. You might be at, say, 70-80% of the way there. But if you want to get 100% of the way to a perfect environment, going to a place like Singapore or Dubai or Monaco, or where the taxes are really low, and there's lots of business opportunities, and the people around you, they're also entrepreneurs, they're business people, they're investors. They might do startups, they might do real estate, whatever it may be. If you're looking to grow wealth, these are the environments that you want to put yourself in, because, um, I'm sure you've heard that age-old quote, you're the average of the five people around you. But it very much is true, especially if you're in a place like this. You're only going to be around people that are going to push you further and push you to do better. So, to me, this is a no-brainer. Now, obviously, if you're looking to build wealth, but you've got, like, family, or there's some kind of personal situation that requires you to be, you know, to stay where you currently are, or you can't leave work because you have a mortgage, whatever it may be. Um, do your best to kind of, maybe find a middle ground between perfect and where you are now, maybe good. And look, over time you can kind of develop this, but I'll touch on this later on. Another example is, if you're not looking to build up wealth, but you maybe have a small budget, maybe you have a pension coming in from America or Australia, and you do the numbers, you do the math, and you realize I actually can't live um, where I currently live on a decent quality of life. So in that case, you might actually look to kind of move elsewhere, like Thailand or Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. But in this case, I've said Bangkok, and I've said Bangkok because it's likely that you're going to be around many other retirees, many other expats, many other people who have gone to Thailand to find new opportunity, or maybe they're just going there to retire. Maybe a place like Pattaya Beach or Phuket might work even better, but you're going to be around people that fit that mindset and those values better than, for example, Singapore and Dubai, where they're working 24/7, they're working really hard. In Thailand, there's beaches, there's lots of coconuts. The culture is just more slow, and that might work really well for you. And look, finally, I think here it really just depends. Again, I know I've said that a few times, but um, I'm a believer that we have different kind of mini lives in our life, different stages with different people. So, at one stage we're going to have family. More than likely at one stage we're going to be very single and young. So, you want to create an environment that fits that purpose for where you are right now, or where you want to be right now. And if you could even kind of plan into the future. If you can see yourself, having a family, or you can see yourself retiring, you could take those steps now in preparation. So when you do get to that stage, you can kind of slide right into that new environment, and then everything matches, and you're really happy. That's also a really good option. Now, the last thing here to answer the question on how you can actually optimize your environment, I think the biggest thing for me personally is, I do like to reflect quite a bit, just think, and in this case, when it comes to your environment, like where and who do you spend the majority of your time with? It might be family, it might be friends, it might actually just be work colleagues. Um, and where it might be, you might spend a lot of time at coffee shops, maybe the gym, maybe shopping centers, maybe sitting in your bed on your phone. Um, but does it align with your goals and where you want to be? If not, you know, make a change. Recognize that and realize that if you're not in an environment that's conducive to what you actually want, I mean, you can make a change. You don't have to just put up with that. Now, if you're not sure, if you're a little bit on the fence, I think the best thing to do is test and experiment, and see what works best for you. Now, I've given an example here, which is really simple. If you love your coffee, but you're not 100% happy, you kind of just, it's just kind of like a second thing you just kind of do each day. You didn't even think about it too much. Try a new coffee. Try talking to someone. Try talking to a different barista. Try or talking to the barista, or maybe try a different coffee shop entirely and see how you feel. It's these little things that you can kind of use to tweak and tailor things to your preference. For I personally know someone who's a massive coffee snob, and they're not going to any old coffee shop. They're going to the one that does it their particular way, that they're friendly with, and that can serve it to them in a certain amount of time because they're quite busy. So in that case, they've tailored that environment, or the process of getting coffee to their needs and what they want, and it works really, really well for them. Um, I've touched on the micro bit. It can go really as macro or micro as you want. Some people just go, I'm just moving entirely, and I'm going to move to a new country. I'm going to get a new job, whatever it is. I'm going to start a new company. But sometimes it's just the small things over time. You might tweak the things you eat. You might tweak the people you hang out with. Maybe it's spending a little bit less time on your phone, for example. It just depends. Whatever aligns best with your goals. Now, this is a no-brainer. This applies to everyone, but if you're spending time in a bad environment, quote unquote bad, or those that don't serve you, it's in your best interest to make a change. Now, whether you address the actual problem. So, for example, if it's a people, if it's a certain person, you can address that, or you can just make the choice and say, I'm sick of this. I'm going to go elsewhere where I'm going to be served better. Um, People are going to relate to me better. You know, and look, in the case of like moving to a new country, it might be the people are going to serve me better. Maybe I'm going to save money. I'm also going to get a better job. I mean, this can go as big or small as you want. And look, finally, I think that this isn't important to mention, but some people are actually forced to change their environment. Um, Now, some people actually really need this because they're not able to make a change by themselves. They actually need external factors to make that change for them. Someone who's indecisive, I know I am personally, would might appreciate that. And then, in the other case, people, they are action takers. They, weigh up the risk and they say, I'm going to do it. In worst case scenario, I can always come back or change back, whatever it is. I'm going to take that one little step to kind of tailor my environment and make sure I can live my best life, and also make sure that that supports me and makes me as happy as possible. So, look, long story short, I would personally just, maybe reflect on the things you do day to day, where you spend most of your time, who you spend your time with, and the kind of things you do, and consider whether that's what you want to do. Now, look, you might not be in the 10 out of 10 best place now, but you might not need to be. Maybe if you're at a 2 out of 10, if you don't enjoy what you're doing, if you can bump it up to a 6 out of 10 with some small things, maybe that's worthwhile doing. Um, I think it all depends again on your situation, what you feel comfortable doing, what you don't feel comfortable doing. But there's definitely, your environment has a significant role in your life. And personally, it'd be crazy to have a 2 out of 10, across all your different environments and put up with that, personally. So, anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. But otherwise, hope you guys have learned something. Your environment is super important. Um, Make the most out of it. And if it isn't serving you currently, suggest you make a move. All right. Peace, guys. It's 2025, so make the most of it. See you.